Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another Saturday We Are Movie Club Hangout. I'm Kamurai.
I'm Charlie.
And we are Movie Club. That was horrible.
Amazingly shit.
That's all right. That just means the standard for the cast has been set, and we can only go higher.
We can only go up from here.
Oh man! Normally we start this out by talking about like the different kind of things we've been watching, but Charlie has just upset me greatly with the news.
Yeah, do you want to start with that and get the thoughts off your chest about the new Marvel developments that people may have heard about this week?
Well, and here's the thing: it's weird to make decisions like this weird live on the internet, but that would lead into like several other discussions. So do we want to talk about movies, or do we want to start out talking about potential movie involvement stuff and then move into things?
I really don't mind.
Okay, well, let's just talk about why I'm mangling my little bar things here. Oh my God! Why don't you retell?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I can.
Okay. Well, this week Marvel made two announcements about the future of two particular characters, and the first one was that Thor is now going to be a woman, which I think's actually a good. It's fine, because the whole premise of Thor was, the one who is worthy to bear the name will bear it, so there's no problem there. But the other one is that Captain America will now be played by Sam Wilson, also known as the Falcon, and what I'm reading about it in front of me is that Steve Rogers, the original Captain America, has fallen victim to the Iron Nail, who apparently is a former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent turned villain, and as Captain America has tried to stop a devastating attack, the Iron Nail drew all of the super soldier serum out of him, leaving him just a withered old man. But he's been bailed out by Falcon, who has now taken on the mantle of Captain America. And Kamurai is not happy.
No, not happy at all.
Why are you not happy?
Okay, well, let's address Thor first, because I was expecting us just to talk about Captain America first. But
Sure.
Thor's the easier one. Okay. There's so many breaks here, and then it doesn't do any good. The whole point, in my opinion, of them doing this is to try to shift more positive female role models into the comic book world, because that's been the big complaint, that there aren't a lot of female or minority characters. It's mostly, same thing in video game world, it's mostly white male. Do you agree?
I do, yeah. One thing I did read, though, I can't remember where I read it now, but apparently the sort of female demographic for comics is now somewhere between 40 and 50%, so I suppose it's not too outlandish to expect one of the main characters to then be female.
No, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with female or minority characters. I'm all for it. I actually like diversity in characters. When they're all Aryan fuckers, it really is kind of boring. I'll be completely honest there. The problem I have with this, though, Thor has the better continuity change, because you're right. The thing with the hammer is that he who be worthy shall wield the hammer as Thor, and there's nothing to say that a woman couldn't be worthy, even though it says he on it. But the big showstopper there is that Thor is the Odin son. Like, you don't have a new Odin son, and that son's not female. There's no reason that Thor needs to go away. One. Two, the changing to being a female does several things to hurt the industry. You're taking away one of the major man candy things. So one of the weird drawing points for women on a very shallow level is being taken away. So you're actually removing a part of the demographic theoretically. In the same theory, you may be making it up by having a positive, legitimate role model, but you're adding more eye candy for the men as well, because it's sexy Thor. So you're again, it's a lot of like maybe one step back, two steps forward, and then two steps back, one step forward in another direction. Um, so you're changing things. Plus, it the reason Thor is popular is because he has been a nominal male character of a Norse religion. That's where the Orion is, even if he's transferred to Marvel Comics. Um, so you're giving this female character notoriety based on the work of a male character. So she's now popular because he made her that way. She didn't earn it on her own. And this is the same problem I had with Nick Fury. Though Sammy J is awesome as Nick Fury, it's the same problem I had with and Mark Clark Duncan as well, with them becoming the King or Nick Fury and Kingpin and that whole thing. Same problem I had with that. It didn't earn it on their own. They're essentially saying that these characters aren't good enough to make it on their own. They need the assistance of a white guy. That's how I would think it'd be phrased normally. Did I say anything at this point that you highly disagree with or anything, Charlie?
Nothing that I disagree with, but I think you make a very good point as saying that it's kind of, well, you say like the reputation has been built up through the male characters. So even though there've been no details released on where they're going to go with this, I think one of the dynamics that I'd like to see them play is maybe how a female Thor would kind of deal with the pressure of being Thor almost. They're looking at the press release, they're giving absolutely nothing away, which is a good thing. But it opens up the possibility to see whether or how it's even treated. I mean, it might just be, okay, Thor's now a woman, okay, what's the story? Or it might be, oh my god, Thor's a woman, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You know, there's a million and one ways they can take this, and well, certainly from a commercial point of view, that's probably a good thing. But
No, go ahead.
From a fan's point of view, and again, as we discussed on this show before, I'm not a comic reader, so you know the previous storylines don't mean as much to me as they might for you. But for me, it's certainly just an interesting change, and I'm keen to see where they might go with it.
Honestly, I think overall they'll recover from the change as long as they don't do like, oh, Thor's on her period, Bermuda Triangle off the East Coast. No. But I think as long as they stay away from that, they'll actually recover from this. But I just think it was a weird choice. I don't think it benefits anybody. I think it does more for you to promote your existing female and minority characters or make new ones. And have them grow and be famous on their own. Taking existing brands and slapping them on other things is a cheap corporate mechanic that doesn't really work. Especially the smarter your audience is. And comic book readers, even if they're not smart, they're pretty attention to detail, and they tend to flip the table at a moment's notice.
So basically, rather than changing Thor from male to female, you'd rather see something like a Black Widow film.
Fuck Black Widow. I like Scarlett Johansson. She's doing really well with the role. She's not a superhero like the rest of them. She's a normal person who is just that good. Hawkeye is theoretically enhanced in some way. Like, he's got a mutant gene or something that lets him target better. Kind of like a long shot character almost, but it's never like really addressed. So he's in that weird gray area in between the normal and the super. What I want to see is a Miss Marvel movie. I think they called her Captain Marvel, which was fucking weird in a news article I read this week. But I want to see a Miss Marvel movie. I want to see Spider-Woman. I'm trying to think of other Avenger level characters that are female. She-Hulk. She-Hulk deserves the movie.
That could get interesting, and I know that there's definitely plans for a third Hulk film, so that might be an interesting way for that one to go.
And if they do it right, what they'll do is in the third Hulk movie, which oddly enough will probably be the Incredible Hulk 2, now that I think about it. Yeah. Hopefully what they'll do is just in the middle of the movie somewhere, he'll show up to give her a blood transfusion, because that's how she becomes She-Hulk, and they'll use it as a plot device for them to try to trap him like they usually do. So hopefully that'll happen, and then She-Hulk will get her own movie.
Well, they've still got 3 sort of unconfirmed films in the next wave, so we can live in hope.
And I don't have a lot of hope with Marvel right now. Okay, but before we get into that, I touched on it, but let's get into Captain America again.
Yep, go for it.
Now, the shock value of saying Black Captain America, dun dun dun, I get it's going to draw some attention. It's going to get people looking at the comic, if not reading it. Having the Falcon become Captain America, again, total disservice. He's already a prominent minority superhero who is pretty badass in his own right because he's a technology guy. It's kind of like Iron Man. It's kind of a poor man's Iron Man, but he does a lot better things. And as a character, I think his name's Sam. Sam is a world over Tony. Tony's a dick. He's a womanizing, druggy asshole. But Sam's actually a redeemable character. I'm not saying he would make a bad Captain America, but we already have the original Captain America was black. The original experiments before Steve Rogers resulted in Isaiah, I want to say his name was Hayes?
I don't know. I'll believe you.
Yeah, as the first Captain America, and his grandson ended up taking mutant growth hormone to get powers to become Patriot, a young Avenger, who I want. My dreams of seeing the Civil War and Young Avengers come to the silver screen are just being shattered left and right. If we did something where we flash back to Isaiah, or we went forward where Patriot grew up and became Captain Patriot or the new Captain America, I would be all for it. But I don't see how a SHIELD member. That's what you said, right? Was the Iron Nail was a SHIELD member?
Yeah.
How he would be able to steal the serum out of. Because it's like stealing Wolverine's regeneration powers. You're sucking liquids out of them, one way or the other. So it's hard to imagine them doing it without killing him, if doing it at all. But because it's a comic and it's like that's the plot, you got to do it. And then injecting it into someone who's not him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would think you'd have to get it into a villain, and then if you got it back out of the villain, you just give it back to Steve Rogers.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Again, that'll be an interesting thing to see where they take it, because they're massively different, but in a good way. I think it's a change that isn't gonna kill the series off.
Oh no, nothing will ever kill Marvel Comics. They'll just reboot the world. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they'll turn it off and on again.
They'll literally flip a switch and be like, all that was a dream. All that was an alternate universe. Or in this other dimension, this is what's happening. And then we'll just stay in that dimension. It's ridiculous, the shit they come up with.
Shit.
But that leads me into what more I'm saying is what's supposed to be happening. The idea of putting comics into the movie is that you get to see your comics in a movie. And that's not what Hollywood's doing, these studios. All that stuff that we're talking about now, we should be able to see in 10, 20 years in a movie. But because of all the changes they're making to make them movies instead of comics as movies, they're breaking things. They're preventing us from being able to let the movies to continue because they don't know how to write like comic books.
You're actually perfectly leading me into a linking story,
Good, take it.
because another Marvel related thing has come out today, and that's about the Fantastic Four reboot that we're going to be getting in 11 months' time. But it was an interview with Kate Mara, who's going to be playing Sue Storm, who basically has admitted that she hasn't actually ever read a comic, and that the reboot's not going to be following any of the comic stories at all.
No, I think the only person I've ever heard of that was into comics or actually researched their characters before they went on was Kirsten Dunst. I think she was in an interview and somebody handed her a stack of Spider-Man comics and like read up on Mary Jane, and she actually did it. I'm sure other people were given the same scenario and just didn't do it. But these are actors. They do what the directors tell them. They aren't necessarily fans of the product.
I think it's this is going to sound weird, but I actually think the fact that they're not going to be sort of focusing on any of the comic storylines for someone like me, I think is actually a good thing, because it means I don't have to try and catch up on existing stories. I can just kind of go straight into this fresh. I didn't see the other. When was it the last Fantastic Four film was?
Oh, who knows?
A few years ago.
Like weird, crazy, shitty. It wasn't that bad. I'll be honest. It just could have been a world better.
Mm.
Which is fine. Like nothing has to be perfect. But even Jessica Alba as the Invisible Woman was kind of a weird thing, but it was like, maybe. But it's very much, they're like the Reeds are an upper class family, and the Storms are as well, and then Ben Grimm was kind of the low class dock worker type. So like just the changes they're trying to make there, because this matches into everything else we've been talking about, where I think Johnny Storm's supposed to be a black guy now. And there's nothing wrong with someone who isn't an ethnicity playing someone who is an ethnicity, as long as they don't change like the character. But there's all this natural assumption that because the actor is, the character is as well. And I don't want to say insulting, like give him skin paint, because we saw Robert Downey Jr. do that, and I don't think I ever want to see that again. Oh, Charlie, you may not be familiar. There is a movie called Tropic Thunder.
Oh, it rings a bell, but I know I haven't watched it.
You would fucking love that movie. I had several issues with it, but it was a movie about people making a movie, and Robert Downey Jr. played an actor. He played an actor who was always a method actor, and he got selected to play the role of the Black Sergeant.
Right.
So he literally spends the whole movie as a black guy. Not only do they literally have him in skinned up things so he looks darker, yet he's in character. So he's not like, he's Robert Downey Jr. pretending to be a white guy who is pretending to be a black guy, who is his part in this movie.
This is gonna start making sense in a minute.
That's it. There's nothing else to explain.
Right. Okay.
But my point there is that I don't ever want to see that again. It was nice to have that as a history mark, and that it was Robert Downey Jr. But I'm done with that. But Heimdall, like people were like people lost their shit because Heimdall was black. Heimdall is not black. The actor who played him very well was, and I'm okay with that. The problem is that people don't like to use their imaginations when they watch movies like they do in the theater. Because in the theater, it doesn't matter who's playing what, because you're sitting there imagining all the missing parts. We're spoiled with movies. We expect everything to be given to us as we see it. So my complaints are in the character changes because I think there are better ways to do positive promotion.
Well, I think you're going to have until either September or October to think about it.
Oh, I'm gonna just sit here and hate it from between now and then. But cycling back a little bit, like we were talking about with the things, because you were saying maybe it's a good thing. It's like you don't have to catch up. I would rather they just give us the run of the movies, like in not necessarily sequentially, but in chronologically timed order. Like someone releases a Fantastic Four movie and it covers this period, right?
Mm.
Well, the next person could release another movie, and maybe it's the time period before that, or two time periods before that. And then someone does the one after that. So eventually, you have this whole thing that lines up, and it's not three different reboots of Spider-Man
Yeah,
telling
because
the same
they'll
story.
start tripping over each other, don't they?
Yeah, because it's like, well, which continuity are you watching? That's because it's my problem with comics too. Um, but that's the same type of thing that I'm talking about with. Actually, you know what? It's a completely separate problem now that I think about it. Did you hear the news of Guardians of the Galaxy?
No.
Um, they have officially declared that they are going to keep Guardians of the Galaxy isolated from the rest of the Marvel Universe.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
To me, it's a horrible breaking thing. Because once you've declared that they are not part of the rest of the universe, that means that Thanos doesn't exist in that universe. Galactus doesn't exist in that universe. You extremely limit the amount of things that they are able to interact with. And honestly, Guardians of the Galaxy and an Avengers crossover later in the future is not something you should rule out from the start.
Mm.
You should never go in saying we're never going to do this. Because that's the beauty of it, isn't it? Like the possibility of doing things.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
But it's the same breaks you and I know you're sick of me talking about this particular break, but the Avengers, especially with the X-Men and Spider-Man breaches.
How do you mean?
Well, because like eventually Spider-Man and Wolverine both become Avengers.
Yeah.
So all the Marvel U franchise lines overlap at points anyways, which is why they're doing the thing with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And I can't remember if they showed up in X-Men of Future Past or not, or Days of Future Past, whatever it was.
Yeah, that's the name of the film, but I don't know.
So I don't know if they showed up there, but that's how Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver got their start. Is they're noted as the son and daughter of Magneto, and they end up joining the Brotherhood later on once they reconnect with their father.
Right.
So they become huge supervillains after becoming just kind of like street nuisances for a while. And then like eventually they have. I think Scarlet Witch has a breakdown. I think Quicksilver is just kind of like going with her. But she has a breakdown. She decides she wants to atone for her sins essentially and join the Avengers because the X-Men would never have her.
That's how you atone for your sins, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you become an Avenger. But no, Scarlet Witch was a powerhouse that they couldn't say no to, even if it did come with Quicksilver. But at the end of Captain America Winter Soldier, spoilers, they show Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. In a completely bullshit scenario, but they reinvented them for the purposes of the Avengers. So they've automatically broken any continuity between Scarlet, and purposely they did that on purpose between Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and the Avengers. What was that?
That was my phone. I forgot to put it on silent.
No worries. I'll do mine too while I'm thinking about it. Oh, you sent me a message at some point. Didn't realize. But so they did that in order to protect their copyrights, so that Fox didn't sue them. Which is just ridiculous. They had to do that in the first place.
Definitely.
Charlie, I feel like I'm not giving you enough to go on. No,
You give me enough to think about.
I just want enough. Okay, I guess it's official. I need to start giving you notes in advance. So I'm not making you think on the fly.
Yeah, because, well, advance is hard enough.
Yeah, I can see that. Like right now, like I just realized I hadn't talked to you, or I hadn't shown you the thing I want to talk to you about Batgirl. I know it's a sudden shift of topic. Normally we're a lot more fluid, but
So go for it.
if you've got no response on the continuity of the Marvel U, where we just end with me being disappointed,
I
I'm
haven't,
gonna.
I haven't got anything to continue on with, so let's just carry on.
Well, I'm trying to find you the new Batgirl costume, so that you can see what I'm talking about. Because they've reinvented her, and again, I didn't even know who it was. Last I read, it was Cassandra Cain, was Batgirl, and she by far, as much as I love Barbara, she was by far my favorite Batgirl.
Mm.
Because like the first, well, not the first Batgirl, but Barbara Gordon Batgirl, it was kind of where I saw the original. I don't know where you came into Batman, but she had like the big red hair showing and the bright yellow outfit, or black and yellow, black and bright yellow. So like she kind of was not very, I don't know what the word is, discreet,
Yeah,
stealthy,
that's inconspicuous.
conspicuous. There you go. She was very conspicuous. But like as the years went, they kind of revamped it little by little, so it was more sensible. And then she had the incident with the Joker, which is not even a spoiler at this point because that's where he shot her. She had a back injury, and it turns out like Brainiac actually saved her or something, so that she could heal. But eventually, but after that she became Oracle and was helping out the Birds of Prey, Huntress and Black Canary. And there may have been a couple other women that cycled through that, which I don't understand why that's not a movie series they're pursuing. Oh God, DC just lacks the pro-woman initiative. But I totally lost my thing. Oh yeah, so it went through some things there. When she went down, I think Stephanie Brown moved in, and she was the blonde Batgirl. If you've ever seen pictures, that's what's going on. God. So like, but she didn't hack it. Batman fired her. And then Cassandra Cain showed up, I think, on her own to be Batgirl, because she was actually the daughter of Deathstroke and another League of Assassins member. So she grew up in the training.
Right.
So she had the costume, at least for a while, where it was actually like super like heavy duty leather, and the face was stitched over.
Okay.
Which I thought was fucking badass outfit. But eventually, I think they opened up the face, like so like she could actually talk normally. But that's around the same time she started hanging out with Robin a lot. Not Dick Grayson Robin, because he's Nightwing at that point. And Jason Todd was dead. Or Red Hood. Timothy Drake, that's who it was. I know a lot of this shit for someone who hasn't actually read most of it.
Yeah, you do know quite a lot. I'll tell you something I found on the internet this week.
So,
I know it's not what you're thinking.
porn!
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking porn, that's your fault. Charlie, you still there? Charlie.
Why? Is it
There
is
you
it
are.
breaking?
I just heard quiet. I'm still
Oh.
trying to find that Batgirl outfit.
No,
I got distracted.
I found somebody had done a bit of a CGI render of Futurama, like 3D stuff.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's beautiful. Actually gorgeous.
Think I
It
found it.
it
Sorry,
it
go ahead.
makes me want it makes me want 3D Futurama quite badly.
Oh, man.
That would be nice.
That'd be cool. I think Futurama's kind of run its course though.
Well, yeah, I like the fact they brought it back for like a sixth season, but I don't think sadly it has much of a shelf life beyond that. Animated series like that don't seem to really go for don't really go much anymore. Actually, no, take that back. There's actually a seventh.
I was gonna say, didn't it run for like 10 years almost?
I'm gonna have to get the dates, but no, originally it ran from '99 to 2003, and then it came back from 2008 to 2013. God, that was older than I thought.
All right. And I'm gonna show the internet by screen sharing
This would be good.
what we're talking about, but I did put links there in the chat. We'll do full screen, see if that works. Hopefully. Charlie, can you see it come up on your screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about here. This is actually a big moment to me in history. This is where I think we're gonna see more realistic costumes show up, less crazy exercise spandex. As you can see here, leather jacket, not spandex. And more realistic costumes that you could actually make in real life. She's actually got like a leather jacket, like a legit leather jacket with like friggin' pockets. She's added studs for this very modest short cape, which I'm not sure is the point because Batman actually uses his cape to cloak himself.
Mm.
But she's got like a built-in strangle choker thing. I don't know. I think that's just to help keep the jacket secure. But she's got like actual like pouches. This one's almost like a small purse on her leg, which makes sense. There could be actual like science to this, the stripes on the side there. Actual boots. So like for the low-budget superhero who's not Bruce Wayne, this makes a lot of sense.
Certainly makes cosplayers' lives a lot easier, doesn't it?
Yes, exactly. So that's gonna be a huge part of it as well. Oh, don't. Okay. So that's a huge benchmark to me, because if I remember right, if Cassandra Cain's not in the picture anymore, I don't know what happened with her, and Barbara Gordon's back, then she probably doesn't have funding from Bruce. She's smart. She has accounts, legal or not, that funded the Birds of Prey. I'm sure she could have dipped into that, but I'm not entirely sure that she could afford to like make her own Batmobile or anything like that.
Mm. Probably not.
No, so I kind of I really like that idea. I think this is a good example of a pro-feminist type character in comics that can eventually go to the movies. The Birds of Prey have always sat in that wheelhouse to me. They're not the best characters, but they're endearing for their flaws. Whereas like Batman, all his flaws are like, well, yeah, he's kind of a crazy person, isn't he? But he's got all those toys.
Yeah, I think I'd forgive anyone who had a car that good.
Yeah, we're just gonna drive on some roofs and ruin everybody's housing. They'll be fine.
Yeah, because I'm Batman.
Batman's a complete and total sociopath if you really break him down. And man, oh, my video's not Going well, Charlie. Anyways, yeah. So I guess is this now a good time to move into what we've been up to?
I think so. We've been talking for 35 minutes.
See, I told you we had enough. Um, okay, so like even as we speak, I'm still trying to re-render my VidCon footage. I don't know if I just need to upgrade my computer that badly or what, but it's giving me like these big black spots on certain videos, and I've got it down where day one's the only problem left. So
Which is possibly the worst day for it to be difficult.
yeah, because theoretically I could have gone through and released the other ones, and then if it was day three, then like day three is just later than the rest. But it's holding up. Be releasing the rest of it. I've still got Disneyland to do the day after VidCon. I've got you know what? I actually have to do some narrative for it. I forgot to do it. Some narrative for the Kink.com studio tour, because you can't film, but they let us take pictures.
Oh, right, okay.
And then RTX the next week. It would have been so nice if I could have handled this shit while I was on vacation. When I had the time. Because especially like VidCon and Disneyland and Kink.com, because I had 2 days where I was essentially convalescing my legs. Horrible time. Take care of your feet and your legs, people. Wear comfy shoes to VidCon, to any convention.
So your feet are ruined, and as of today, my knees are absolutely destroyed.
Well, my knees, I feel you on the knees, buddy. My knees have always been kind of bad, and the Army all but finished them off. But apparently also, when I was in the Army, I found out I have like high arches.
Oh,
No,
right.
like I really like
Yeah,
talking
that's not
about
good.
my medical problems and shit, but I've caught myself, especially since VidCon, trying to continue to compensate because I was wearing very flat shoes. I ended up buying some insoles that helped a little bit, but they're not the proper insoles. They just help some. So I've caught myself just walking on the balls of my feet to stretch my arches. And I've realized I walk ball to toe and not heel to toe.
Right, there's your problem.
Yeah, and that I don't know how to fix that. I don't know what you do for that, but I just need to order the right insoles, and I really need to get some sneakers and start running again. Because now that I know about this, it probably has to do a lot with what everything else has been going on with me. So I think that's a way to address how I need to get into shape without hurting myself, so that I can do it on a regular basis. Because I need to.
I love how we're still not talking about anything.
Not be fat. Well, I'm sorry. That did kind of diverge a little bit, but no, that's what I've been dealing with all week, and that's why I've only done as much as I have. Which I've done some very minimal programming over the past week as I've been doing this, which is going to horrify Charlie even more because he was amazed at what I do on a weekly basis normally, because he assumes I have all this time, and I don't see myself having any time because my life feels like having 3 full-time jobs, and I just kind of do the last 2 whenever I can. Do you want to start talking about movies, or should I actually mention a movie at this point?
Well, we can start with the pick of the week, because that was me.
Yes, go ahead.
It was Down Periscope this week, which is a film I haven't watched for, it must be an absolute minimum of 10 years. And it's even funnier than I remember it being.
Honestly, it's been at least 5 years for me.
I did think to myself as watching this that if Kamurai's got anything bad to say about this, then I'm going to start questioning his sense of humor.
Oh, I wish I did. I wish I had 100 things bad to say about this movie. but there's really not a lot to say bad about it. It's not the best movie. It's not one everyone should have, but it's pretty damn good, and I'd be surprised to hear people really complain about it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's there's a few negative reviews on Netflix, but you know,
I'd
you're
love to
always
read
going to get
those.
that. Okay, then let me get them for you. But
No,
what I
just to
found,
see, because that amazes me when you see something that's like, yeah, I don't see what people could possibly have to complain about.
yeah, because one of the things I love the most is all the stuff I remember about it. There are some particular scenes that I remember, and the vast majority of them seem to happen in the first 20 minutes, half an hour. So I don't know what it says about my attention. Here we go. Here's a 2 out of 5 star rating. It's watchable. A typical Yank film, though. Get a load of roughnecks and convert them into A-class sailors. It's like Police Academy in a submarine.
I wonder if you and I have access to the same reviews, because Charlie's in England and I'm in Florida.
Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that you were going to watch this and be like, fucking Americans.
There's
But
there's one review here that I completely disagree with, which says it is so corny, contrived, and lacking humour. It is an effort to watch it. Maybe Kelsey Grammer should stick to TV programs with decent script writers. He certainly didn't add anything at all to this movie, which I
oh,
completely disagree with.
bullshit. His timing was impeccable for that movie.
I think he was fantastic.
I don't think. I think this was a movie where like he was the perfect role for that character.
Mm.
I don't know who could have done that better. Uh, here's a 1-star rating for this. This movie has too much sexism in it for me to like it. It was almost borderline on heartwarming, but how Lieutenant Lake was treated didn't go over well with me. Can't producers make comedy movies that aren't sexist? No, I'll keep hoping anyways. That is a problem that has issues with the reality. That person right there. And I
Yeah,
hope you're
because
watching.
if you look at the context of the film, then and this isn't me trying to condone sexism in any way, but you
No.
know that kind of thing happens.
Even in today, like in the Army, when I was in the Army, I was in basic training with females. Shit happens both ways all the time.
Yeah, so I don't think that's unrealistic.
No, but it was a point that no, women aren't allowed on submarines. I think it was actually like a pro-feminist cry, honestly,
Mm.
that women aren't allowed on submarines. One, and then like the way they were she was treated is an example of what not to do. But you're in a family of people who are going to mess with each other regardless of sex or gender. So you got to kind of go with it anyways. But they lost shore leave, so like everybody was rightfully punished, even if she was embarrassed.
Just you saying then about people you think might have been able to do the role. Steve Martin might have had a decent go.
You know, and we actually saw that in actually Bill Murray in Stripes is what I was thinking of. Bill Murray, he would have changed it dramatically.
Yeah,
Steve
Bill Murray's a
Martin.
good show.
Steve Martin is closer, I think, to the mark. If we were trying to recreate this to get the same thing, I think Steve Martin would be a lot close. I think Bill Murray would do good, but it would be a different movie entirely.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, you know what? He would have been really good as the XO.
Yes.
Steve Martin actually would have been really good as the XO, too.
Although I thought Rob Schneider did quite well.
No, he's a shit actor. But he has his strengths. Being a little angry or being an angry guy, not one of them.
Mm.
I would have so many better things to say about Rob Schneider if 90% of the roles he's done weren't like racist stereotypes.
You see, this is weird because I haven't actually seen Rob Schneider do anything else.
You saw 50 First Dates, didn't you?
Is he in that?
He's the little Hawaiian guy with the bad eye.
Oh, of course he is. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, I have. And he's in other things as well. He's basically in every other Adam Sandler film, isn't he?
Yeah, he's part of the Happy Madison family.
Right, yes. Now
he has done his own movies, like what's the one that has Bree Turner in it? Deuce Bigelow, American Gigolo. Uh,
Oh, I've heard of that.
that was one of his not so racist roles. And then, actually, now that I think about it, Bree Turner was in the other movie that I was thinking of too, with Anna Faris, I think. Uh, Hot Girl. He actually switches bodies with a teenage girl. Um, and so, like, the whole movie's him trying to, or him pretending to be the chick inside his body, trying to deal with how to get his body back.
Hmm.
um, which is actually one of his better roles. I actually really liked him in that. So he does have his strengths. He can be a good actor, but it almost feels like he chooses not to be because he thinks it would be funnier. Longest Yard, he was in that. He was the Mexican guy that was like, "You can do it."
Oh, You Don't Shout's a good film.
He was in Click, I think. He was Prince Ababibu.
He was in Happy Gilmore as well.
Who was he in Happy Gilmore?
It wasn't he the caddy?
He might have been. I
I
can't
think he
remember
is.
that one.
I think he's in Waterboy as well, but I can't remember what as.
He was in I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. He was the Asian officiator,
Ah, yes.
the priest that married him in Vegas or wherever they went to. Oh, Canada. They were in Canada. Um, he was the little Asian guy, and they even gave him like little racist eyes, which is a real credit to the makeup department. Don't get me wrong. You can make that man look Asian, but just
I still think I still love it as a film. I think it's excellent, and it's one of those films that I'm definitely planning on going back to. And that's not often I say that about films, to be honest.
no, it's not. Now, I'm sorry. There was okay. Okay. See, this is what I was expecting. Most of the things that I saw in here they were gonna knock people for they're either gonna be Navy guys or Navy fans that don't get it. So like they're like, oh, this isn't the Navy at all, so they're insulted, and I get that. You have the right to that. Or they're gonna be people who like want this idea of military people that they don't get it because it is a military movie when it comes down to it.
Mm.
But this has a really nice mix of stupid and smart humor that really makes it beautiful. It really reminds me a lot, not to pick on things or pick at things, but Red versus Blue, which has just a slew of stupid humor throughout it, but it's all very written very cleverly.
Yeah.
There are smart jokes in there, along with the dick and fart jokes. And this was a great example of how to write comedy in general, let alone on a long scale.
Mm.
Are you aware of my long-standing hatred of comedy writing?
Yeah, it has been brought up in the past.
Okay. It's not that I dislike comedy writing. It's that it tends to be that comedy writers can't seem to write anything longer than 3 minutes without it just becoming boring as shit. Because jokes don't last that long. So most comedy writers... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, well, yeah, that's true, because if you try and keep a joke going on for longer than about 3 minutes, people are going to lose sort of interest in it. So it's always been a very short-standing profession almost.
Yeah, it's why YouTube's the way it is. Because the attention span for a joke's only so long. But in this case, they made the people embody the jokes.
Mm.
So, excuse me. The characters became what was entertaining about it. So instead of like going the route of like Family Guy, where you've got a different joke every minute, you've got the same joke at a slightly different angle throughout the entire movie, several times at a time. And you're not laughing at the characters, which is another problem I have a lot. you're laughing with the nominally with the characters.
Yeah, and that kind of presents its own problem, doesn't it?
Yeah, because to me, anytime it's just you laughing at the characters. Not only are you being slightly mean, but it's not a joke that's gonna last very long. So on rewatching it, it's gonna be old because you're like, oh, already know I'm better than him. Because that's what laughing at people is. It's a dominance thing. It's like, oh, I'm not you. Ha ha ha. And think about it, when you're watching someone get kicked in the balls, that's why you laugh. Because you're like, oh, I'm not you.
Yeah, I'm not suffering from this.
My life is significantly better than yours. I haven't been kicked in the balls. So, like, that's what I really like about this movie is that it's something that I should remember to point back to for comedy writing. Be like, do this, be better. This is black spots.
Is it not working?
Sorry, I just checked. It finished rendering. I was checking it. Even though it's not showing black in the project, it is showing black once it's rendered. So, like, I'm really confused at what I'm supposed to do about that.
Oh dear.
I may just say fuck it and release it with the black spots.
Not sure how well that'd go.
What else am I supposed to do?
Well, this is true.
I mean, the other option is that I could try to be clever and just splice in the original footage back into the damaged bit, but you're talking about, like, edited clips into it's not at the time or place. I need to leave it alone.
What happens if you don't render it and you just upload it?
That's the thing, is it's several videos. Like, just looking at this one project that I've got, I don't know, 20, 30 videos here. Because I took spots throughout the entire day. So, but what is showing up as black is what doesn't make sense to me, because it's very randomized. It's no longer showing me before rendering. So, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. But I was talking about something. Oh yeah, so like I would love to see people refer back to Down Periscope as a way you should do movies, because there's plenty of ways that people point out how not to do movies. And I'd really like to see more positive examples in that light.
Yeah, I suppose another question to bring is, in the classic was, would you like to see it remade? And the answer is no.
No, leave as is.
You do not ruin.
Now,
you do not ruin that film.
I say that partly because this is a time-sensitive issue, because this is a point where, like, we've gone to nuclear submarines, and then they're on a diesel. So, like, if you were to remake it for, like, modern times and change certain aspects of that, or make it in modern times where, like, it happened this year, it wouldn't make any sense because too much time has passed.
Yeah, it'd lose its relevance almost, wouldn't it? It being 1996 almost suits it at this point, because it's on the cusp of the new technology coming in, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we're what? Oh God, 18 years later.
Yeah.
Right? That's a whole human being later. Back then, it would make sense that maybe there was one left. Now it's like, no, fuck you. There's no diesel submarines.
They've all been taken out by now.
Yeah, it's like, it would have to be like America bought the Russian ones to dismantle them. And instead,
they're not going to do that, no.
Actually, you know what? That's actually a clever tactic. Like, actually buy some just like Iran and them are, and then just disguise them as those countries' submarines and have them do recon.
Yeah, that'd work.
on how they're using the submarines. It's not a bad idea. I'm gonna get some black helicopters over my place soon. So let's move on to something else.
One thing I did like about the film was that
Oh, go ahead.
it's a very silly film, but some of the ideas were absolutely ingenious.
Oh yeah, they were brilliant ideas, and I'm not gonna say that there aren't things that people have done in real life. The fisherman boat thing was kind of dumb. Like I was really disappointed in the other guy for that one.
I thought the pirate scene was quite good. I had I had quite a giggle at that.
That was okay. That was a nice touch, but that was definitely them being goofy and just like we want to put a pirate scene in this. How do we make that happen?
Play me a dirge, matey. Pirates are something that appeal greatly to me. It's a surprise I haven't picked the Pirates of the Caribbean series yet.
I've already done reviews for those, so I will have happy, weird things to do in response to that.
Do you know I haven't seen them?
I'm really surprised you haven't. You seem to like pirates a lot.
I just haven't got around to it.
You haven't got around a lot of things, but
yeah, it's on the proverbial list.
I do hope there actually is a list at some point, Charlie.
I'm gonna have to actually make one, I think.
Shit, and I'm not telling you to go make a website, but like that would be pretty interesting, even if you did like a Squarespace or just on your Tumblr. Like make a Tumblr and be like Charlie's to watch list, and just let that bitch stack up.
Get fan suggestions. The problem is that I got this for my birthday, and that's gonna have to take some kind of precedence, I think.
I can't see you right now. What is it?
Is that better?
No, it's doing that thing where every time you talk, it just shows me the logo.
No. See, the first season of Game of Thrones, so that has to be watched at some point.
Yes! Send that to the top of the list.
Yeah. This was the other one, though. I don't know if you can see that. Rookie Blue.
Rookie Blue.
Who's in
that? Oh yeah,
that?
it's a cop. It's a cop one, right?
Yeah, I can't actually see who's in it, but I'd recommend that if it's something. If you've got a few hours to kill, I would check a couple of episodes of that out because I thought it was really good.
I'm gonna look up who's in it right now, but I remember you telling me about it, and Missy Peregrine's in it. I've been looking for other stuff with her in it, so that may be enough to 5 seasons. 5.
I didn't know they'd gone to 5. I didn't know how many they'd done.
Yeah, the main. It looks like the main female lead, Andy McNally, is played by Missy Peregrine, who was in Heroes, I believe. But she was in.
I assume she won't be returning for the new Heroes.
Probably not. She was Candace. Was that the light shifter? Yeah, I think that's who it was. So her power in Heroes was that she could make light bend around her so that people saw what she wanted them to see.
Mm.
So it was always a really intriguing character, and it doesn't help that she's nice to look at too. But so I went looking for other stuff she was in once upon a time, so that's why I remember her name. But at the time I didn't find a whole lot. Looks like she's been busy since Heroes.
Well, there you go. There's something else for you.
Oh, Charlie, what are you doing to me?
Don't say I don't treat you.
Okay, I'm gonna throw it on a list somewhere, and hopefully I'll get around to it eventually.
You're gonna have to make a list just like me.
Well, that's the thing is I have between Netflix and like my rotation, I do have a list. I don't have it in an order though. So like I don't be like this is the next thing I'm watching. I just go and pick something. Like that's how I watched American Tail. It's sitting in my to watch list, and I was like, oh, I should get around to this. It's at the top because it's alphabetical. Um, and fuck me, I was really hoping you had seen it so we could have a discussion. Being that you are a Russian history major.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah,
Well,
that's another thing. I've officially graduated now.
oh, so you're a Russian history graduate.
Yeah,
You don't sound thrilled.
I've officially. Well, it means I have to grow up. Now that I have a degree, I actually have to kind of grow up a bit.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Charlie ass kid.
I don't want to grow up. I,
Whatever.
I don't see why I should grow up.
Growing up's fun. Come on.
I I cry at the concept.
I will say that if you think you don't have time now, though, you're in for a fucking surprise.
Ugh, I already don't. Yeah, I'm. This is something we talked about off air last week, but basically over the summer I'm going to be working full time. So, you know, please, if you are expecting a wealth of content from me, please don't, because it ain't happening.
Yeah, I think me kicking his ass is you got to do BS this week, right?
Sorry,
Are
I've
you
got
doing
what? Sorry.
BS this week?
Yeah,
Bad
I've
summaries.
done. Yeah, I've done that. I just need to give you the audio.
Okay, yeah, just upload it when you get a chance. I'll grab it.
That has been done.
Okay, so I'm adding the discs for now, just so I remember it. For Rookie Blue. Hopefully, I'll find an online source later.
It'll probably be on Hulu.
Well, that's the thing. I can't log into Hulu right now for some reason. But whenever that happens, we'll see what's up. I really don't know why I wouldn't be able to. Oh, because I changed my email. That's right. That was a weird thing to happen then. Okay, so moving on to movie stuff.
Yeah, movie stuff.
Because we got distracted there. Okay, let's relevant We Are movie stuff first, I guess. Have you started to watch season 6 yet?
Not yet, no. That isn't on, like, well, officially on YouTube or Netflix as a full season thing, so I may have to go back to episodes for that. But,
Damn it! Okay, it's the one season where the episodes won't be as bad because every episode has an intro and outro, has an intro letter. It's literally like someone reading a transcript of a letter,
mm,
and it's either the director or the counselor that's investigating him. Not spoiling anything there. It starts out like that the first 2 episodes. So like you get some exposition at the beginning of each episode, so it'll actually work for that season. But have you managed to watch Out of Mind or Recovery 1 yet?
no, but I do have a question because I've just found the Rooster Teeth playlist, and at the end of season 6 it has the Relocated miniseries.
I believe that's in between 6 and 7.
Okay, so is that something that I should be adding sort of to the end of it?
You can. You certainly can. I would suggest adding it to the beginning of 7.
Okay.
But that's just how I personally see it. But you can do it either way. I don't see why there would be an issue.
Fair.
Have you seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine? Sorry,
No.
Rookie Blue still kind of in my head.
No, I haven't.
That is one I think you would really like.
Is it on Netflix? What's it called?
I honestly don't know. I think it's on Hulu.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. No, it doesn't. Well, it's not available UK wise, at least.
Yeah, it's on disc here.
Is it on disc?
Yeah, it's on disc here. So I don't know.
Probably means I can't get to it then.
And no worries. I'm just saying something for the future. Because you like American cop shows for some reason.
I think it's just because we don't have any kind of decent equivalent here.
You think it's a British thing?
I th- I think it's more I think it's more an American thing that just hasn't sort of taken off over here.
No, I meant like
Uh,
it's a British thing that you like American cop films or
yeah, I
shows.
think it could be.
Um, okay, we have to discuss that other thing that you messaged me about earlier, or earlier later.
What did I message you about
Uh,
earlier later?
the intro thing. Um,
Alright.
and it's not a big deal, but we can talk about it offline. Just trying to work my way towards more things that I watched. So I watched it literally right before like I started the Hangout. So I'm super excited. By far my favorite season. They did some really really good camera work. Not spoiling anything for you. And then having Out of Mind and Recovery 1 preface it really got me amped up back into it, and it answers a lot of weird questions that you didn't ask in the first 5 seasons, or maybe you did, and it sets up for a lot of good stuff for the next 4 seasons.
Fair enough, because there's a fair few things that I've been kind of going, this doesn't make sense about, which you keep assuring me are going to be answered eventually.
And I think I keep asking you what it is, and I go, yeah, we'll just wait.
Yeah.
Because it's like that. So, okay, so that covers Red vs. Blues down Periscope. We'll talk more about Red vs. Blue next week. Um, okay, coin flip, Charlie. Series or movies? Which one should I talk about first? Charlie?
Crap you liked really badly then. Yeah.
Charlie. Sorry. Movies or series? Which one should I talk first?
I don't know.
You don't care? Okay.
And what are we?
So, I'll talk about series first, and we'll end on movies because that's the better way to go, I guess. I got to a point where like, you know what? I have to just start with movies because it doesn't make any sense for me to start in the middle and go back. I started watching some of the discs I get in, and like I watched Life of Pi, which I went into it knowing that it's a discussion on religion, and it's a very pretentious movie. So I was like, let's watch this. I'll be able to turn it off, right?
I get the feeling you didn't.
No, I stuck through. I very rarely turn a movie off because occasionally I just ignore shit and keep doing what I'm doing. But I very rarely get to the point where I'm like, I gotta turn this off. I expected that to happen with Life of Pi, but even though it's a super pretentious, weird little movie, it's actually rather compelling to watch, even if the whole time you're watching it, you're like, fuck you. Like, why is that happening? Like, so it's a movie that makes you love and hate it all at the same time for me. Which is why I did not score very great. I hopefully will put up a review for Life of Pi eventually, but I need time. I don't have. So I watched through that, and the thing that really kills the movie is that it's not a movie about a guy surviving a shipwreck. It's a movie about a guy having a discussion in which he tells the story he survived a shipwreck.
Oh, right, okay.
Do you get the distinction there?
Just about.
Because there's that Shakespearean thing where they have a play within a play where the chorus explains stuff to the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And normally that's beneficial. It's uplifting somehow. It adds insight through exposition. This does the opposite because there's really two main ways you can look at the story, and both the characters in the discussion take opposite sides. at least for part of it. So, and then they come to the same conclusion. So, like, to me, that's telling me that the movie says there is no other way to look at it. This is how it is, which is very indicative of religion itself.
Yeah, it's a very strong opinion to have as well. I've heard a lot of good things about that film, but again, it's something I haven't watched.
It is definitely one for movie clubs. It's definitely one for people to start discussions. Theoretically, to me, it does all the discussion for you. It tells you this is what you should be thinking, and there is no discussion. But damn you, I'll discuss it anyways. So it's definitely one. If I was doing more traditional movies, I'd be like, this is what we're doing. This is happening. So eventually, probably after your summer job's done with, we will go back to more traditional picks for me, and that will make its rotation.
Well, I say hopefully, but by then, it's we should have done all of Red versus Blue by then, so we will get a few more conventional picks from you.
Yeah, I was actually looking at it, and it might be, especially if we get anybody else in, that we don't end up finishing Red vs. Blue till season 12's over. So we could actually do seasons 1 through 12 all contiguously, and then maybe even Ruby. I got to rewatch it to make sure that you could do Ruby as a movie. But
yeah, I wanted to ask you what Ruby was actually, because I don't know.
Ruby is a super innovative thing. It's from Rooster Teeth. I was gonna say the same people that did Red vs. Blue, but it's really not. It's Monty Oom's idea. He started it up with, I think Miles is writing it. Who is currently writing Red vs. Blue now. I can't remember offhand who exactly is working on which parts of it. But Monty Oom was the guy that did the Master Chief Samus mix, fighting all the Covenant, and then Rooster Teeth saw that and then hired him on to do motion capture and animation for Red vs. Blue, which you haven't seen yet. So it doesn't. I'll spoil it. It doesn't happen in season 6. But it happens in the first 3, because season 6 through 10 is broken up into a 3-part trilogy, and then 9 and 10 finish up the Freelancer saga. Did I lose you? Oh, you're there. So I think it's season 7 we start in with the computer animation. And I think that's where you're going to really start enjoying it, like, to its fullest.
Isn't Series 6 where they move into Halo 3 as well?
Yes. They spend a little bit of time in Halo 2, but most of it's in... Sorry, go ahead.
I say hopefully that will make it a bit better then, because from what little gaming experience I have of Halo, 3 was noticeably better than 2.
The graphics is a phenomenal step up, I will say that. To the point where the water is almost photorealistic. It's not quite. You can still tell it's computer game water because it's being held by computer game ground, but it's really well done. So it looks better. It moves better, which is more important for the camera, which I think is why they get such good shots this time around. And they start adding... I take that back. It's not their first step into computer animation, because they've been doing effects like Church as a Ghost. Delta, who is in Out of Mind, shows up again. He does the glowy effect. We see more things like that. That's all I'm going to say on that. But most of the vast majority of season 6 is machinima, whereas in season 7, I think they start experimenting with animation, and then by season 8 they really lock into it, and you start getting really good scenes out of it, particularly fight sequences in 8, 9, and 10. There are parts of season 10 I could just watch on their own.
Well, that'll be good then. Hopefully there'll be a bit more integration.
Yeah, and then that sets up for the next saga in season 11, 12. That they're season 12 at least they're doing a really good job. But season 11 is one of those dips. Okay, so it's okay. Got me onto Red versus Blue again, Charlie. It's like a disease I can't turn off.
Yeah,
Um,
I couldn't possibly comment.
I was really impressed with Peter Pan. I don't know why I thought I had a version of Peter Pan where Peter Pan was a girl, but I did, and go
Um,
ahead, respond.
I've never heard of that. It might exist.
Uh,
I can't see why it couldn't exist.
I want to say there was a movie in the 1950s where he was played by a girl,
Give me a
but
moment.
I could be wrong. There is a Prince of Thieves where it's Princess of Thieves and Robin Hood is a girl. So I may have got the two movies mixed up. But the 2003 version of Peter Pan is the one I watched recently.
Right. Okay.
And I haven't watched the Disney version in so long that I'm really upset with myself because in my head it's almost two movies. There's the adventure where like John and Michael and them go and they end up with Tiger Lily and they get put in that cave, and Hook tries to drown them. That's in this as well. So in my head, for some reason, that was a separate thing. And then the adventure where, like, Wendy and Peter go back together, like, was another thing. So, like, I had created this whole split for Peter Pan in my head between, like, the first and second halves of the movie.
Yeah.
But I went and watched this, and I realized that, like, all my memories of Peter Pan were a lie. As much as I love that universe. But they did a nice twist on this version, is they actually made it a real love story. As much as you can call Peter Pan a love story.
Well, yeah.
No, expand on that.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a love story.
Okay.
No, I don't really know who you'd pair up there.
Wendy and Peter.
Yeah.
It's not
Maybe.
a happy ending love story.
No, that's true.
Definitely from Wendy's side, that was a romantic love story. It was she met a guy, she fell for him. He took her. He literally sweeps her off her feet and takes her to another world.
Yeah, and then yeah, all right, okay, I'll give you that. Because it's slowly coming back to me now. I haven't seen that in a long time.
And then in Hook, that's the version where, granted, it's 2 generations later, but where Peter actually stays, and it is a happy ending love story. Because the little bastard does it all again with their granddaughter. Sorry, Charlie, go ahead.
You
I'm never
realise I
doing it
missed
on this
all
computer.
of that due to lag.
Probably. I was just laughing for part of it. No, because my point was that 2 generations later, he does the same thing with Wendy's granddaughter. The little bastard. And it is a happy ending love story. As weird as that situation is.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hook is possibly the only one that explores the potential pairing of Peter Pan and Tinkerbell.
I would argue the opposite, is that everything else... well, you're talking about something else. We're talking about 2 different things, but I would think, from my perspective, that it'd be the exact opposite, is that everything else promotes the pairing, not like the sex with, but the pairing of Tinkerbell and Peter Pan, Whereas, uh, like Hook actually shows that they won't be a pair. It's the time where like it literally breaks the storyline where they are no longer a pairing.
Yeah, yeah, okay, I'll agree with you on that. That's a fair point.
But no, I get your point. You were talking about like that it was the chance. It's one time that theoretically Tink and Peter could have banged.
Yeah, for want of a better turn of phrase. Yeah,
Um, the internet is rife with that fanfic, my friend. Regardless of her size.
I can't say I'm surprised.
No, you should Google things sometime. Have
I,
that in
I
your
think
search
I think
history.
it's safer I don't.
So, anyways,
Oh God, we can't end on that note.
I would love to just for the horrendousness of it,
All
but
right,
no,
bollocks to it. We'll end on that then.
but no. My point was that in this movie, like they actually kiss, and for whatever reason, because he's linked to Neverland, like there's a literal explosion in the world
Mm.
of like from him having his first boner or whatever, um, and it's a real weird moment to see that linkage because I'd never put together that he was actually drawn into the power, or I'd never really thought about how Neverland works, because it has to feed off of the people that it traps there somehow.
Hmm.
Like it gives them rejuvenation, which affects their memory, but they it has to feed the it has to feed Neverland somehow. So it becomes a symbiotic relationship. And
Yeah. Okay.
Peter's nominally the boy that's been there the longest. Um, Questionably, Hook was there about as long as Peter.
Yeah.
I really don't know, to be honest with you. But Peter's been there the longest, so he's tied the most. So I could assume like killing Peter would kill Neverland, maybe.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I think. Certainly think that that is definitely possible. That turned into a ramble with no words in it. But yeah. Yeah. I
So
think if he was to die, then I think the whole concept of Neverland would die with him. Um. You kind of. I think you kind of see the fact that in Hook everything is kind of not necessarily moved on, but it's 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 definitely different once
oh
he
yeah, but
comes back.
that's the style. Oh no, I see what you're saying. Because yeah, because he's there to reconnect with the island again. But at that point, and Rufio even says it directly, he's the Pan now. So there might be even a thing where the Pan communicates with the island in some fashion. But think if Rufio had died when Pan wasn't
In
there.
in well,
What?
they might have moved it on to someone else in a strange way. I think full circle in this hangout because
Charlie. Charlie. Why do you always leave me, Charlie? I was gonna say you're like this close to dropping.
no.
I heard full
Oh
circle and then you cut.
yeah, mate. So the only intelligent point I've made all evening, and it didn't even make it into the broadcast.
No, do it again.
How bloody typical. I said that it's almost full circle as in
I I hope that's making it on the broadcast and I'm the one lagging out. Charlie, why?
Right, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good, right, this can stay off. This can stay off until I've made my damn point.
What do you have that's messing you up?
I shit internet. It goes through stages of not wanting to work anything above 2 bars of signal.
Are you doing this
And
from
it's
your
in one.
phone?
No, this happened in my parents' house. I just get blips of no internet or very little.
Okay, I'm sitting here thinking it's mine because I'm on a laptop for once, but
No, I think it's probably me.
okay. All right, so full circle.
Yeah, for the third time I will try and make this. It's almost like how we said at the very start when we were talking about Thor, is that it's like a mantle and a name to be passed on rather than it being an actual physical person. The way that Rufio said that he was Pan. I'm just wondering whether there's some kind of link or connection.
No, that's actually a really good observation. Now the sword was.
Can I come back now?
Yes. What do you mean come back? When did you leave?
Now that I've made my point, I can actually turn the video back on.
Oh, you cut your video. Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, I cut my video to improve the connection.
But no, the sword is symbolic, but you see at the end of Hook, he's actually like handing the sword to the next person, and he ends up giving it to Thud. And that could be a weird thing, like a communication between him and the island, for who the island wants, even. Like, you could make so many weird little theories like that. Wow.
I tell you what I'd quite like to see. Oh no.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, buddy.
This isn't funny anymore.
Oh. Makes you feel any better, I'm going bald.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
I want to see another version. I want to see a sequel to Hook where Thud is in charge of Neverland. I want to see how that goes.
I have a feeling like it would be a cross between Neverland as we know it and Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs.
I am more than fine with that.
Wouldn't it be great if food fell from the skies, guys? You could just sit back with your mouth open and you never actually have to sit down for dinner.
Do you know, I almost wish I could have done a bad summaries for that film because it would have just been nom 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 nom. Oh god, the world's about to blow up.
That would be great. And there's nothing to say you couldn't do it, but our time being as precious as it is, I like to concentrate on picks.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Totally lost my train of thought there. But no, it was a really good version of the movie. I was really happy I saw it. And I would say that would be the good prequel to Hook, would be the 2003 version.
I haven't seen that.
But I think it was in the same day because I was going through my stuff I had on tap to watch. An American Tail. Everybody in America who grew up around the same time I did knows Fievel. It's Fievel Mouskowitz. You could tell me maybe if that's a typical Russian name or maybe I'm picking the wrong country.
It's not. I wouldn't say it was very typical. No.
Is it maybe it's Jewish and it's like it was the Jewish people trying to leave Eastern Europe to come to America. I don't know. But the movie, I have so many problems with that movie. They literally have them like in clothes, like they have mice wearing hats, with shirts and jackets, and not necessarily a lot of pants. Like some of them wear pants. Very inconsistent there, but which obviously means that the mice are sewing. But so that means they have like little needles and stuff. So like you see all these things that say that they do everything we do to try to like brainwash the kids who are watching it into being like, oh, these characters are just like you. They're just people who look like animals.
Yeah.
Which to me is different than taking an animal and anthropomorphizing it into a human. Like Porky Pig. You know who Porky Pig is, right?
Yeah.
That's an anthropomorphized pig to the point where he basically is a person. But he keeps all the traits of a pig, and he, or maybe that's a counter to my argument even, because like Garfield is an anthropomorphized cat, whereas like I guess Porky is a person in a pig's body essentially. He doesn't eat feed; he eats human stuff. He does everything humans do. It's very similar. Maybe I have more problems with Warner Brothers than I thought. But like, so they're doing this, and then they show the human counterparts doing the same shit. Like the mice get on a boat, and there's even a song about it where there's no cats in America. Like they're trying to like leave Russia to get away from the cats, and then they get to America and there's cats because there's cats fucking everywhere. But like, it's symbolism on top of symbolism on top of symbolism, all trying to say that like America is the best place. It's the place you want to go. You want to leave the old country. It's such Cold War propaganda. And to be honest with you, I can't even remember when it came out.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Homeland's on season 4? Fuck me. I need to catch up on that show. Come on. But like, and then like there was the cat. There was a small cat that was pretending to be a rat that was dealing with the mice to make money. So apparently the mice meant money too.
Right.
And then like there was like a little roach that was the accountant, which maybe that was supposed to be the Jewish people. I don't know. So like there's all this stuff. 1986 was when this movie came out.
Okay.
So I guess that matches up with the Cold War, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
You're English.
Sorry, say that again. What year, sorry?
1986?
Yeah, that's right at the end of the Cold War.
Okay. So maybe it was like one last little stab or whatever. But just the fact that was a big part of my childhood, and at one point, and that so many other people watched it, it's like, how are we allowed to brainwash kids like that? Because it was really, it didn't seem like it was very subtle propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But you know they're using the same tactics in like SpongeBob and everything. I was upset. Not necessarily rightfully so, but I don't know. Let's see what else. I don't have a very strong ending for that. Okay, so at that point I got frustrated and I started watching random shit on Netflix, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Do you do that thing where you just click on something and you're like, we'll see how this is?
I haven't in a long time, but I have been known to occasionally.
There's this thing called Mixology, and I didn't know where I knew it from, but I knew the name, so I was like, oh, let's see what this is. And it said like it was like 10 strangers that meet in a bar to explore like their romance or whatever, or potential romance.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I'm not like, I don't want to watch a bunch of people get drunk and make bad decisions. Super interesting to see this and watch it as like a Crash, or what is that? It's not a British movie, but it has a lot of British people in it. It's around Christmas. The Prime Minister of England likes the not the heavy-set intern, but she's thick. And then he transfers her because he doesn't know how to handle it. Or he's not maybe he's the governor or something. I don't know. What's total fail? It's the one Nina wanted everyone to watch for Christmas, but I can't remember. Oh, new episodes of things are happening. Not Hugh Jackman. Who's the British guy he was in Notting Hill?
That doesn't help.
Oh, come on, Charlie, Notting Hill.
So I don't know what that is.
Hugh Grant.
Oh, right. Yeah,
So,
right, fair enough.
Hugh Grant was in that. It's a Christmas movie. It has like several storylines. It was that really cute thing where the guy was in love with Keira Knightley's character, but she was married to his best friend. So he shows up, plays a boombox of caroling music, while he holds signs to tell her that he loves her, and she actually gives him a kiss before they apparently split ways forever, which is kind of a weird romance thing to have. Hugh Grant. Oh, what is this movie? I don't know why I clicked on Hugh Grant. I probably should better look at Keira Knightley. This fucker's done so many things. Come on. Love Actually.
Yeah, okay. Now I've caught on. Now I've caught up.
Yeah, so it reminded me a lot of like that, except it was in a series. So you actually had enough time to explore all the different combinations of people and the ways they interacted. And it wasn't necessarily like everyone was going around the bar banging each other, and it wasn't like everyone was trying to bang each other. But there were characters that did kind of explore kind of a wide range of options.
Mm.
So, but it was interesting to see those counter to the people who were like, I'm in love with this one girl, that's all I want, but now you've suddenly sparked my interest, but I'm not that type of person, so how do I deal with this? You could write a sociology paper on that movie. In fact, I would not be surprised if that movie wasn't a sociology paper that somebody had done for college, turned into an entertainment venue. Does that make sense at all?
Just about.
Because that's the way we like it.
Da, 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 da.
So what was next? And so I ended up, because that only went one season, and it looks like it wrapped up pretty nicely. So I can't imagine what they would do with it again. And you know how they put that recommends this thing like at the end of it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You mentioned you've never seen Degrassi. For people watching at home, Degrassi's kind of like a Canadian version of Skins or Glee without all the music, where they follow like a set of characters through. In Degrassi, it's middle school and then high school and college, whether or not they should bother going that far. But the redheaded chick from Degrassi, Stacey Farber, like out of that crew, she was the one that like I was like, oh, I like her, even problems and all. And I've watched Degrassi since I was young, so I don't want to hear anything about people being dicks about me being a perv. So I was like, whatever that is, I'm watching that. And I was hoping it was a movie, but it's called 18 to Life, and it's a TV show about these childhood friends that grew up next door to each other, kind of like Peter Parker and Mary Jane. Now that I think about it, they grew up best friends, always lived next door to each other. So they get old enough and they decide that they like each other. They want to make out and bang and everything. And they decide at 18, after I think it was just after finishing high school, they decide they want to get married because they know they want to spend the rest of their lives together. And offhand, I would say that in the American version, the whole joke would be that Oh, this was in 2010. It's an ongoing series. Wow. Um, the American joke would be that this doesn't work out, and here's all the problems they have,
Mm.
and why they loathe each other. But this is actually a really sweet version where like they definitely want to be with each other, and they're continuing to fight that battle, but they're trying to deal with all the things that come from it. So it's almost like a cautionary tale of the success of maintaining a marriage at 18.
Hmm.
Um, but I watched the first 2 seasons and was really impressed. And as cute as Stacey Farber is to look at, she definitely is a top-notch TV actress. I don't know if she's been in a movie or not. And the guy who plays across from her, his name is, since it's here, that's not him. Why is he all the way down there? Michael Cedar? That name sounds familiar too, but he does a really good job as well, playing for what the role demands. Because
Right.
each, go ahead.
Doesn't sound familiar to me, but
Yeah, it's just every episode they have like a different theme that's going on. Like one episode it's like about who do you keep secrets from by priority? Is it the guy code trumps the marriage code, trumps the girl code, or what? And so that it's a whole exploration into that, and then how do you manipulate each other in a relationship, and it's nice because you got them as the young couple, and then you've got his parents as the stuffy conservative couple, and then you've got her parents as the unmarried liberal couple. And then they each have a best friend who actually puts in a good counter for like viewpoints that people have. Um, it's really well put together. I can't say put it to the top of your list by any means, but it's if you ever get a chance, like it's a good one to get around to. 1987. So she is only 4 years younger than me. Fuck you, people.
I will certainly bear it in mind. However, my
Oh, she was in Rookie Blue. That's hilarious.
well, hey, continuity.
It's just small world theory. She's
I
in one
was,
episode in
I did,
2014. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, hey.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say I will bear that series in mind. However, my internet is lagging even worse now, so I think that might be a sign for us to kind of wrap up soon.
All right. Okay, that's kind of the end. Oh, I had one more thing. I fell asleep watching it last night. This is a stay away from. Curse of the Dragon Slayer. It's been on my watch list for a while because I was like, at one point I was like, oh, let me watch something with dragons, like a Dungeons and Dragons movie, because we remember how funny that was. And I was like, well, at least it's got a dragon in it. But there's this whole like RPG buildup of like what's going on in the universe and the different characters that we've got together. So they spend the first feels like hour throwing together characters that wouldn't normally be seen together to make the fatalistic adventure to go do whatever. But it was really boring. It was really slow. They had some really weird effects in the beginning, and then her eyes bother me throughout the whole thing because they put in like purple, like lavender contacts because she's an elf.
Right.
So not only you got the big fake ears, which I could have looked past, but you got the purple contacts that just bother me, and then the dwarves and orcs are both done very awkwardly. The sword fighting on it is atrocious. People have they constantly are sticking their blades in the ground to make that very dramatic pose that you never do if you actually own a sword, because you ruin it. So I don't know. I would say stay away from it. It may pick up towards the end, but Charlie, anything you want to wrap up on before we sign off?
No, other than to just apologise for my internet not working.
No, we all have bad days. I was hoping you'd say we've been talking for a while though. What, an hour and a half now?
No, more than that.
Oh, we start 4 my time, about almost 2 hours. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that was pretty good. I feel like that's the comeback that we deserved last week when I wasn't ready. um, but hey, I've got terrible things to have not work for me, so I'll get on to that. I'm sure you want to get some sleep.
Yeah,
Um,
after such a very difficult, well, tiring day today.
Poor Charlie. Have to beat off hoes on a daily basis.
Well, exactly.
All right, brother. Get some sleep. Or let's sign off, and then I'll say things like that.
Okay,
Come here.
well, you can't see me anymore, but I'm Charlie. Thank you for watching, and if you look earlier on in the video, you will find out see them anymore because my lower third has disappeared. But thank you.
And I am Kamurai. This is Pig, even though he's trying to fight to get away from me. Ow, kitty. So I'm Kamurai. I do a couple things on YouTube. I've got my media reviews channel that is linked with We Are Movie Club called Jam on Toast 528. So you can go there and watch my movie review stuff. I will have Down Periscope up this weekend. Forgive me, I've been dealing with other things that don't work. So I will get that up this weekend, possibly with Red versus Blue. No, I gotta wait till Friday for that one because that's my week. But you can always yell at me on the Twitters at Camera25, and you can get to some of my other stuff through Jam on Toast. So go watch a review for that, and you'll see links and stuff to anything else I'm doing. Just keep this short. But we're always looking for someone else to jump in here and join us on doing movie reviews. So you can do a movie review yourself. Include the hashtag WeAreMovieClub. Possibly we'll find it, but you can always. Much better option is for you to yell at us at WeAreMovieClub on the Twitters and let us know you want to get involved, and it'll be a good time. Get in on these discussions and keep me from stepping all over Charlie for 2 hours.
But hey,
Charlie, it's so sad. Okay, so with that, we shall bid you adieu. Bye, everybody.
good night.